Hi guys, I am Nu-Trix, the synth guy. Today I am really happy because Novation came out with a new editor for the circuit. One of the nicest little portable boxes you can have today for making music. What's cool about this is that up to now, if you wanted to do editing of the internal synthesis, so the Nova synth, the two Nova synth that you have in the circuit, you needed to use a third-party tool or software. Isotonic Studios have been offering one freely, and you could also buy the Pro version to have a little bit more control, but it was, right away, it was a great way to work, and it worked within Mac's interface, so Mac's MSP. Now, Novation has one. Now it's free. It's available within the what they call the component website for Novation software, and that's where you can actually upgrade the firmware. You can download the patches, the bank, and what they call the packs, where it includes sessions, samples, and the patches. But now, since today, they have announced and released online, only for now. Probably is going to be a downloadable version one day, like they did for the other component version. Something has changed. The one thing is that when you connect the circuit, you needed to click on connect the circuit, and the panel of the circuit would go into a connected mode if you want, and you were not be able to do the normal things you do on the circuit. Now, this would not be useful in a synthesis way, because you still want to have that screen, the normal one, and you can switch from synth 1 to synth 2, and in real time play the notes and hear what you're doing like a real synthesis. And that's exactly what Isotonic is offering. So they changed the way it works so that you can actually do that with the new version of the editor also. Now, the address is not the same. I will put the link down into I'll put the link into the info, but at the same time it should be written here, and it's components.novationmusic.com/circuit/editor, and that's the new one. If you don't go this way, you get the old editor. And this one, you still have the browser, initialize patch, upload patch, and access packs and user pack in Novation. You click Novation, you get the original Novation banks of sound that you can actually load in. You can save to patch pool. Not exactly. I think it's just a place online you can go back and pick back, and you see the cloud. You can save to your computer. You can store to the circuit, and you only have synth 1 and synth 2. You have the macros. Actually, let's look it up first. It's on. You take the USB cable, you plug it in, and that's basically it. By plugging it in, you'll see that it will turn green. You have the green light here connected. It's done. It's that simple. Now, I'll put my headphones so I hear something. Now, if I play it, of course, the knobs here are supposed to work. So they're working, okay? If you want to change stuff, you can go here and go, you synth 1, when the one right now, you get the macros, you get oscillator, and again, if you look at the macros, you see that these are at maximum. That's what you have on screen. If you bring them down, you have real time. So this is pretty awesome, works well. Okay, real time. And if you do the other way around, if you move this down, you see the light turns off here, and you go back up, it goes back to purple. Okay, so it works. If you go into the second window, oscillator, you basically have what you expect. You've got all the information for oscillator 1 and 2. You get the mixer section on that section here. You've got oscillator 1. What's cool is you can actually click on it, and you've got a big list of, the classic wave. You get pulse width. You can actually change the index, and you can create a cool pulse width modulation synth. Now you click on it again, you get different pulse width, different shapes. So it's a mix of sawtooth and a pulse width modulation. So you get a bunch of really cool analog type of waveform. Then you get a wavetable. You already have that in it, but it was not as obvious to see it. Now if you go let's say vocal, and then you have the index is pretty cool, and you see the graphics, so you have a good understanding or a good image of what the waveform is about. And you have this for oscillator 1, and you have it for oscillator 2. Now, one way I like to use it now is that when I'm just listening to the sound and I'm wondering, let's say, let's have a shorter, and let's say I just want to change different samples, not samples, but waveforms. I can click, but it's long to click every time and just pick another one. If I just want to go through them rapidly, you click on this little arrow, and you're just going to go through them one after the other really rapidly, you know? So that's pretty cool. It's pretty fast to go through the collection of different sounds. So cool. The rest of it is, I mean, what we expect. If you want to know more about the whole synthesis of the circuit, I did the video about it, so just go there, click on it, and watch the whole thing. It's the same values that you have. It's just that this is not shown the same way. You get noise, if you want the volume of the noise. You've got ring modulation between the two, pre-effects, post-effects, and the tuning of this section here is for oscillator 2, this one is for oscillator 1, and that's it. So it's pretty basic, very functional, very nice, and I like how the circuit sounds for a virtual analog synth. You know, it's pretty cool. You get the filter section, again, pretty visually interesting. You can see when you move it around where you cut by the frequency is moving, you see the value here. As you go up and down, you see the resonance changing, and the graphic also shows you the resonance movement. So it's really interesting. You see what you're doing. So for people who never used any type of synthesis before, it's a great way to actually see what's happening. If you go bend pass, you also see a bend pass. It cuts up and down. So pretty nice. An high pass, well, it shows that you're cutting the lows, so the highs are passing. If you go 24 dBs, you see that the slope is faster and 12 is slower. So very educational in a way. So you know what you're doing, and people who never worked with this before, you'll see the value. And like when you do band pass, you get 6 or 12 dBs. You don't have 24. You get a low pass, you get 12 or 24, and high pass, you get 12 or 24. So pretty fun. It's a nice. Visually, it's very nice to use. And then that's for the filter. Then you get the modulation controlling the filter. So envelope 2 going to filter, or the key tracking for the cutoff point. Again, you get the drive before the filter. So the driving, well, that's overdrive you have here. But then what's cool about this, it was already there, but it's obvious now when you click it. You click and you see the different diode, valve, clipper, crossover, rectifier, and all that is right here to actually use. So and the routing, do you want it to be normal, you want it to be bypass for oscillator 1, or you want to bypass it for 1 and 2. So again, pretty nice. Envelopes, actually I'm gonna pick something else, just have a different sound. What's cool is when you move them, the value and the software changes right away. So if you, by moving to them, so okay, that's the one I want to talk about. Oh, this one? Okay, get out of this, and then I've got, they're showing you that this one is the sustain, so it goes up and down, it's a volume. This one is a time, decay, and this one is a time, it's attack, decay, sustain, and release, which is also time. So this is very visual and really nice. And how much velocity will affect this is what you have here. This is envelope 1, this is envelope 2, this is envelope 3. These are not presets. These are just the envelope for the amplifier, envelope for the filter, and envelope for the envelope number 3, which is sent to a modulation where you want it. So these are 3 different ones. This is really nice. And the third one has a delay, so you might want to have this one coming later on. So it's pretty interesting. You can actually click here and type in, I want 45 exactly, or you can just move around and do what you want. And you can switch between the 3. So it's really cool. I like that. I didn't notice that before. Okay, so then you've got LFO, which is what you expect. You have 2 of them. It's LFO 1 and 2. And again, what's fun is you can actually see the wave of the LFO. Of course, sine wave, triangular wave, sawtooth. So these are the classic stuff you find usually. Time, different sample and hold, and random sample and hold. And the next one is just piano envelope, which is kind of a fast attack and release. Then you have sequence. So you see these sequence. Now you actually see, let's say we assign it to something. Where do we assign it now? Let's say I have to go filter, I guess, and say that I want to receive, oh, you want to assign something. Of course, you're in the LFO, you want to assign the LFO, you go into matrix. My source will be LFO 1, and I want to assign it to, destination will be filter frequency, and go. You can change the sequence to another one. Go back with more resonance, let's say. Let's go back here and change to this one. Or you also have alternative different shapes again. Okay, so I mean you can play around with that, but what's cool is you actually see the shape that you're using. So that's a cool thing. Instead of just having a chromatic, so you actually hear all the steps of the notes. Major, well again, right now I'm just, let's say I'm sending it to the pitch, you'll hear it more obviously. Let's send it to 1 and 2. Whatever. I mean, you play with it as you want. And then you get the effects. Of course, you got chorus and phaser, and you can be in sync for the value of the rate and all that. Feedback. I mean, the stuff that you already have in it. And again, you've got another distortion at the end. So valve. So in the effects, you basically have distortion, chorus, and EQ, or chorus or flanger, and an EQ, so you can actually tune it the way you want. So that's pretty fun. And the last one is setting. You want it to be monophonic, polyphonic. You want auto glide, you know, departmental rate, pre-glide, and all that stuff. So all that nice stuff. So just remember that for this to work, you need to have firmware 1.6 in this circuit. So if you already had upgraded probably like almost a year ago, you're good. If not, you need to update before this actually works. And then you can do the same thing with synth number 2. And actually you can have this play at the same time. You can go pattern like this one. So that's just a weird sound. Yeah, it's I think the LFO is a big problem here. Let's bring it down. No, I'm gonna go back here. And that's it. It's so that's the new thing about Circuit from Novation. They have a new editor and it works really well. I'm just waiting to have the standalone version because sometimes I don't have access to the web, like it sometimes happens. Now, I really want this to be a portable version for my iPad, but it's not a problem anymore because I bought my solution for the iPad, and I'll show you that soon. I won't, not today, because I'm working on something now. I'm preparing to work this summer with the circuit as a solution for my next EP. I'm just, again, looking for something else to do. And right now I'm preparing the banks of sound I'm going to sample and put in. And then I'll create the sounds using a mix of this tool and the one I have in my iPad. And I'll show you what it is in another video where I'm going to do that. And what I'm looking for also is to prepare the sound bank, that what they call the pack, and I'll release it so that people can actually use it and make songs with that. So stay tuned. It's coming in the next weeks. That's it, guys. Just hope this is actually helpful. And if you like it, thumb up and share it with your friends who have a circuit so they know that this exists. Ciao.